Hey, it's Nicole. Welcome back to the show. Today we introduced Virginia Frischkorn. She is the founder and CEO of Party Trick, a new tech platform built to help me and you and definitely Matt plan and execute highly curated events. A party, that's right. People, we're back in each other's spaces, and she's going to tell us how to do it because she's been named one of the best wedding planners by Vogue and Brides and Over the Moon, and we are going to learn so much from her. I know not just about planning a party, but I know she has some other things to share with us.
Hey, if you're an entrepreneur who usually fast forwards intros just like this one, this is the podcast for you.
So excited, Virginia, to have you here. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for that. I'm so excited to be here. We like to start the show the exact same way every single time. So tell me, how would you finish the sentence? You know you're an entrepreneur when?
Oh my goodness. Great question. Well, you know you're an entrepreneur when you're a little bit crazy. You're dreaming big and you just want to dream bigger and bigger. And you want to create something that hasn't been created. For me, that's been so much of my journey. It's finding a new pivot, a new way to kind of approach something and do the unexpected.
I love it. I love it. It sounds like there's a lot of good stories there. So before we get into those stories just yet, tell me, what do you do? What businesses do you own?
So the easiest way to say it is I'm an event planner. I've been in the event industry. I've had that in many different iterations, starting with a business called Bluebird Productions, which does luxury and ultra luxury event production. That's weddings, corporate, social. So think the $2 million wedding or the $1 million 40th birthday party where we're chartering all the jets. So that's kind of the crazy to the top. I have another business in the event space called Something Blue, the lovely event production. So kind of the everyday, but above the everyday, a very fun little picnic company. And most recently, I have spun up basically everything we've learned over the last 14 years of systematizing and leveraging like amazing experiences to create a tech platform. It's an app called Party Trick. And we inspire and empower you to host gatherings so you don't need that planner. And it could be every day from a Taco Tuesday to, a Sunday brunch with the girls or guys or kids' birthday party. But it's like having your own planner in a pocket, not actually having to hire the me that people used to pay a ton of money for. So it's very fun, very exciting.
Wait, she had me at Taco Tuesdays and Sunday brunch. I mean,
this is a very important question to start this off. She said these ultra luxury $1 million 40th birthday parties. I just need to know from my friend Nicole, in case she was wanting to, throw a surprise party for me or something. Will they also work for 43-year-old birthday parties?
Yes, 100%.
Oh,
43 is
Nicole.
a 40th times 3 over.
Oh my! Hey, Nicole, I'll send you the list. My birthday's before yours this year. Reminder.
Right. Yeah. Oh my gosh.
Right.
Yes.
Hey, I'll pop for Taco Tuesday next week. All right.
So what's amazing is you went straight for the ultra luxury, right? You said luxury and ultra, right? Is that the two phrases?
Yeah, I did.
Yeah.
Yes.
So tell me, if I just wanted like the luxury gift for Matt, what was the distinguishing? Like no private jet? I wanted to go budget.
It's the 6 figures. It's not the 7 figures.
Okay.
I'll settle for that.
Oh my goodness.
You'll get a smaller list, Nicole.
Okay, smaller list. Okay, thank you. Appreciate
No
it.
problem.
Yes.
No problem.
Me, you, Ashley, Kyle. That'll be it.
Okay, great.
Yeah. Okay, cool. I mean, until Gary Vee comes in the podcast so we can get some big sponsors. I'm thinking Virginia, needs to meet him next. So Virginia, I have so many questions, but I have to ask right away because I've just heard ultra luxury parties. And I thought of Will Smith and Jada. In his book, he wrote about a party he threw for her. Do you ever get to name names on people you threw parties for?
I do. I try not to. It's one of those things I name like the corporate names. And so I'll say we do something for Laura Piana or Viv Clicquot, Ferrari. I think our clients are so protective and we're like become a therapist for a while. So it's one of those like, I don't have an NDA I could say, but at the same point.
Yeah. I just want to say, if you planned that one or if somebody planned that one, my heart just goes out to that party planner because it's in the book. And wow, he was so excited. Matt, it'd be like if I threw your party and I was excited to throw the party. And then you showed up and you were like, I really didn't want a party. And I'd been like, wait, what? You couldn't tell me that like, I don't know, next week? You're going to tell me like, I think it was like the evening or like the next day or something. Like, so anyway, let's get back to the show.
Yes.
So,
all right.
okay. So tell me, what's your story? What led you to entrepreneurship? Was there a specific moment or an event or an experience, something that happened that you were like, I knew this would be my life's work?
I wish there was one moment. It was so many moments. My father was an entrepreneur and both of my siblings are. So we grew up around a ton of entrepreneurs. My father was in YPO. And so we saw these men, these women, more men at that time, building and creating and bossing in like the best way bossing. And I think also I had a very fortunate childhood in that my parents basically, they said no. but they always allowed me to pitch them. And if I was 7 years old and I could pitch them on something, they'd find a way to make it happen. And so it never like anyone stomping on my dreams. At one point I thought I wanted to be a doctor. So my father got me an internship that I had to argue for, working with a pediatric cardiologist at the UVA hospital. I quickly decided after I fainted in like the operating room, essentially, I was like, oh, this isn't for me.
She left immediately and went and threw a party, though. That's what's the key portion of that story.
Well, actually, that's the best part. My dad was the ultimate host. He was an amazing, amazing like gatherer of people. And some were these crazy parties and some were just super chill, hang around a barbecue. And so we all grew up seeing the value of community and connection. And like our way to make that happen was these great gatherings and parties. The community that a party brings together and the connection was so important to me. So ultimately that led me to throwing parties in college. And then when I moved out to Aspen after college, and I realized I saw these event planners, what they were doing. I'm like, I can do this better. And I don't know, I was 24. I was stupid. I was like, great, I'm just going to do this better than you can. And I pushed hard and hard. And I realized the second that you stop trying, the second that you just think you know everything, it becomes a business. It becomes really stale. And like, maybe it's great, but you're not going to push boundaries. You're not going to create these new experiences. And so for me, these moments as a young child really then kind of layered on like one on top of another to ultimately make me want to just keep dreaming bigger and have a greater impact every day.
Love it. Oh my gosh. I love it. I always love hearing when it starts early as a kiddo as well. I come from an entrepreneur family too.
Yep.
And I feel like the things that we are taught are spoken and unspoken. It's so incredible. Just the example that you could pitch it. You can totally pitch it. I watch my own kid right now. Like I always call him a fierce negotiator. And I'm like, no, it's little mini pitches all the time. And if he wins me over, he wins me over. They're learning those things. We all do so early. It's amazing. That's awesome.
I have an 8-year-old and I have a 6-year-old, and I had a particularly tough time, which I'm sure you all can resonate with. I'm sure resonates with people listening, where I was like, oh my God, I hate this. I'm done. And I went and I picked up my son from school and he's like, Mom, do you have a YouTube channel? And I was like, I do. And he goes, that is so cool.
Yeah.
With Party Trick, my children were involved with the selection of the final name. And they're so proud. We can foster that innovation with them by looping them in and encouraging them to kind of see it. I was lucky that it started for me early, and I love letting my children experience bits and pieces. And if it's their journey, that's their journey. And if it's not, it's not.
Oh, I love it.
Yeah.
Matt knows how much I love it.
I'm
I
like,
always
man,
say,
you're speaking her love language right now.
I haven't told Matt this yet, but let's tell him no. I met a little girl out at it was a boating show recently, because that's what you do in the Midwest in the dead of winter. You just dream of summer basically all the time. And so we were out at a boating show, and this little tiny girl was next to her mom, and like her mom's doing something with, I don't know, vacation home, but she had her little things all set up to sell, these little mugs, these tumblers. She's telling me how she makes them and how she's on TikTok and how she does all the things. They don't know who I am, right? I'm just mom in a hoodie and a vest. And I was like, this is my card. I'd love to interview your daughter on our podcast if you'd be willing to come with. And I've been thinking of how we need to have these little bite-sized shows with these kiddos. She knew all her stuff. The mom even said, oh, I'm sorry, what didn't come over to help? I'm like, no, she took my husband's Venmo, no problem. But it'd be awesome to be able to hear mom and daughter or dad and kiddo, because when we're raising entrepreneurs, we get to see like whatever we learned before and how we can share it with them now, or what we didn't learn before and how we can. So we have to have you back.
I love this. And I'm going to just run with it for a second. So my son is in 2nd grade. And his school just did this economics project, and they were learning about money and taxes and loans, and they all had to build something. He built like these dragon figurines. And at the very end, they're like, so who wants to start their own business? Every kid beside my son was like, yes. And my son goes, no way. And then my daughter, who's 6, last summer pitched me a whole idea that she wants to launch a styling business for making beds. And it would be $50 to style a bed.
Nice.
And she says it's a really good deal.
Yes. I love it.
Oh, it was the best thing. And so it's so fun to see their little brains work and learn and dream. I think incorporating them is the best.
I'm usually not this quiet. Nicole will attest to this. And I've been quiet for the last few minutes because, Virginia, I want to thank you. I'm dealing with something right now, even like just close enough to what you're talking about, and it's hitting home. So I just text my wife.
You don't make your bed? You don't make your bed and you're going to hire her kiddo?
I didn't want to. Yeah. No, but seriously, You said something about your parents. They said no, but then right afterwards, they would allow you to pitch them. I've been dealing with this situation recently where my son is a little mini Matt with a lot of
Hmm.
stuff. And Matt doesn't like hearing the word no. Matt went to law school to learn how to break the rules, not to follow them. And so we've been dealing with this little 7 becoming 8-year-old rule bender, I'll say, for lack of a better term. One of the things we talked about is every time he says no without listening to us, and I got to be honest, it wasn't resonating well with me because I'm like, it's making him a little mindless, and he wants to argue everything. I like the fact that our show sometimes will talk about family and what's really going on and how we as entrepreneurs have little mini entrepreneurs and then we're struggling with things even there.
Yeah.
But I will tell you, Virginia, you're helping me understand how to work with even my own son in that I want him to understand no, but I don't want to extinguish that fire he has in him to want to pitch me to say, but dad, this, and this. It really hit home with me. So thank you for what it's worth.
Okay, so Virginia, tell me something that people would be surprised to learn about as your early days as an entrepreneur, maybe when you were starting out event planning.
A lot of people think that event planning is this cute little hobby job. I can most relate it to and explain it to a broad audience by thinking about doing a house renovation. And people don't think about construction and like general contractors as event planners. And I share it because we're basically designing, we are then planning, and then we are producing something large. It could be $1 million wedding, $2 million wedding, more than what a house costs. We're pulling more permits, working with more subs. And so in the early days, when you have a 24-year-old trusted with a $3 million budget for 8 hours of your life, people are like, oh, that's so cute. And then they start putting it together in a way, the power, in a way, the responsibility. And so people don't expect that. And it's an amazing industry to jump into, to learn a lot about time management, to learn a lot about people management. On some of these events, even in the early days, you're managing 150 people, 30 different vendors, and then your team amongst it. And how you lead, says so much about the company, says so much about the culture, the success of the ultimate product, in that case, a large scale event. People don't expect that, I find. And I think it's really set me up for success as I've continued my journey to have some of those skills that I learned at a really, really young age.
Could you imagine any other business model where someone's investing millions of dollars into something that's going to be 8 hours long, a once in a lifetime opportunity, and they just hand it over to a 24-year-old and say, good luck?
I think you're right that people don't think about it, and they do think of the hobby. She started as an event planner, Rachel Hollis. I think she would talk about how people would kind of like pat her on the head basically and be like,
Yeah.
oh, how's that little event planning business going? And we've seen how she's done some incredible things and with conferences as well. No doubt the power of her just being like, I'm going to do this. I'm going to go out on my own and do it. Did you cut your teeth learning from somebody else? Or did you work for someone else at first? How'd you get those first early clients to say like, oh yeah, we totally trust you?
Fortunately for me, I started my career at the Little Nell Hotel, which is a 5-star, 5-diamond property in Aspen. It was 2008. So kind of similar to right now, a really rough time. Also, events were in a very different space. This was like pre-Kardashian weddings. So the weddings then were really different than the way that the event industry has blown up with social media and, these very notable people changing how parties are thrown.
Mm-hmm.
So in a way, I think it was probably easier for people to trust me because we didn't have that model. But I also had a great start from a very reputable, like the most reputable place in Aspen. And I had a couple clients who were very loyal from the Nell that when I left came with me. And I didn't steal, like you don't steal, like actually
Sure.
did the weddings at the Nell after.
Right.
But they're like, wow, we loved working with you. The experience we had so far was so phenomenal. Now we want you to actually stay on and not just do this one side. So I was able to kind of roll those relationships. So they were actually mutually beneficial. I knew the event venue so well inside and out that actually the venue loved working with me and became one of my biggest places I did so much at because I knew how to represent them well. I knew how to be a team player with them. And then the clients had that comfort level. I was very lucky with that. I mean,
Yeah.
a little
Okay.
strategic, a little smart, but
Yes,
a
very
lot too.
So tell us a bit about Party Trick because you're going to share some things at the end of the show and how people can get access.
So Party Trick, basically, we inspire and empower people to host. And it's gatherings that are aspirational. So they look beautiful, but they're really attainable. It's not about having that Pinterest fail. It's really about creating something that's beautiful and you can be proud of. And you don't have to go spend hours like curating the best look. We curate it for you. We give you like the menus, the playlist, what to wear, all that. But it's really about the everyday. Like it's your Taco Tuesday, it's your barbecues, it's kids' birthday parties, like mommy culture. And this is a mom thing, like around kids' birthdays, it can be so competitive. It's a kid's birthday party. You should have fun. We want to bring back the fun. So it's not like pulling out your teeth. We box up everything we learned about creating these experiences, and we want everyone to have it. So it's not just the Kardashians, the Will Smiths. We really want everyone to have these great experiences. We are basically a subscription membership. I hate the word subscription. It is a membership, and we have all the fun member perks. But we're $89 a year, $9 a month. Like $9 a month is less than a cocktail at 90% of anywhere you go in America. Right now, we have like 75 different parties on the site that you can go explore, whether it's the free version or where you can actually really dive in and get the look, the plan, the details, all of our notifications. Like my favorite feature, and this is like my hack as an event planner, I set alarms that are labeled on my phone for everything. So if I'm producing a large scale event, it's 10 minutes until guests arrive, it's 5 minutes until transpo, 2 minutes to cut the cake, cue the band now for X, Y, and Z. Because I would lose my notebook and my checklist. And I think everyone can relate that, like, you have these great intentions. You might have a checklist of what you're supposed to do, but it's on paper and you lose it. So I turn my phone, and then obviously that goes to my Apple Watch to trigger me. And I mean, I know these events inside and out. I know every single thing that's happening, and I still rely on that to stay on time. And I do that when I do my kids' parties or a potluck or a book club to literally remind me to go take a shower and that guests are coming in 5 minutes, turn the music on. So we do that for you in Party Trick. So it's super economical. And we also write custom parties. So like Matt, if you're throwing an 8-year-old birthday party anytime soon,
she's turning it back on me, Nicole. She's turning back on my luxury 40th birthday party.
I'm going to make it so easy. You have a membership, and for $89 a whole year, you can have us write as many custom parties as you want for a date night, a kid's birthday, anything you want. You don't have to go hire the expensive planner. Like, we're not going to be there to execute, but we're going to plan it and make it amazing for you.
Awesome. Well, let me ask you this. With Party Trick, you're still doing Bluebird and everything, right? So you're running 2 companies still now. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yeah, actually, I have a wedding this weekend. So we are running still some through Bluebird, some through Something Blue. Picnic Company, we're not doing that much this year. And I didn't mention it. I have an education side where I educate other planners. So it's called the Wedding Planner's Blueprint. It basically takes all of my workflows in Asana and has all of our SOPs and templates and helps educate other planners to use basically our method, which you can actually like scale the event planning business, which is bizarre, but you can do it. We're running all of those. It's a lot to juggle and manage. As entrepreneurs, we relate to that with tons on our plates always.
What's the most difficult thing about it?
Shifting gears so quickly. I'm not very good. I don't block my days. I'm a very big time blocker. But shifting gears and trying to jog my memory between what I'm jumping. Fortunately, I put a lot of systems in place. So like, okay, within a minute, I can get caught up to speed quickly. Having a really good system that you rely on. I learned that when I was pregnant. Like, you couldn't trust your brain the same way. So that was really what changed how I ran businesses and was able then to launch the others, because that allows me to do that.
Yeah.
Nice.
Did you hear, Matt? She said Asana.
I heard. Yes.
I'm just saying.
I know.
My Asana reminds me to take the garbage out. That is how much I use my Asana. I love it.
Wow.
Oh my gosh. So you walk through the time that it took you to set something in place. And maybe now you can switch gears in a minute, but there was probably a time, or maybe those 9 months that you were like, okay, at some point I have to hand off work because I'm going to go have a baby. And then you did it again. So it worked out twice. Without doing that, you couldn't have ever handed work off. But it's that work that I think a lot of people avoid, but I believe it's the difference maker. I believe shiny object syndrome, if you can leverage your time, can be the difference on you just having one business or you having 5, or not having to count your businesses because you're like, they're running.
Yeah, definitely. I'm lucky in the sense that my businesses all relate really well to one another. I can funnel business between all of them, right? If someone's not a fit for Bluebird, I move them down. Going back to the systems that enable this, because I think that might have some helpful nuggets. I put things past the drunk grandma test. So if you create a process or a how-to or whatever it might be, and if someone who's drunk can replicate it, or if they're a grandma and they can replicate it, like, it needs to be easy, then you can start taking that to scale. And that's hard to do and it takes time, but it allows, work hard now to kind of let it bloom and blossom later. It's about setting that foundation. I have a hardcore shiny object syndrome. And so I try to keep things really tight, really narrow, but it definitely forces me to also get creative and think outside the box. I think one of the hardest things is, which one am I going to push at what point in time? And also learning when to cut certain things, because maybe it looks fun to have this and you can run it because it's easy, but it's a suck. It sucks your energy because there's an emotional suck off of it.
Was there any stories you recall, like, as you're slogging through it all? I tell maybe somebody on this call that there's power in time tracking, for example. I'm telling Matt, like, you should just check it out. Just look at it. Put an app on your computer. Just like take a peek on where all the time goes. So we had an episode on it as well. But do you remember going through some of that and being like, oh my gosh, I'm never going to see the end of this Asana board. I'm never going to see the end of this piece come to life. I think that that's the struggle sometimes for people, right? It's how to make the peanut butter and jelly sandwich. They think, well, I just make it like this. I think they get stuck in how do you pass the drunk grandma test?
I think for me, I actually was really lucky that my Pilates teacher told me about Life Hack Boot Camp, this guy Demir. And so I did his course. And going into it, I was like, wow, Virginia, like, this was in 2018, 2019, pre-pandemic. And it was right before I launched Something Blue and the picnic company. And I'll say, going through this and time blocking and learning to prioritize and the taco method. I don't know if you guys know the taco method, but it's my favorite. I've obviously talked about tacos a lot today, but this allowed me to really a little bit be humbled about what I didn't know. So when I took this boot camp, I learned to love Asana because I hated it before. I learned really how to optimize, and I don't think you necessarily need to take that course, but going through this like humbling experience of being like, well, I'm super organized and I already have plan A through Z, and then have someone teach me step by step, okay, let's time block every single thing. Where are you spending every hour? What's deep work? What's like focused, not focused? What's your shallow work? Where are you spending? And through that also learning when I work best. Like I work best in the morning. And some people do and some people don't. And I think everyone tries to force like, oh, I got to be that morning person. Yeah, I don't think they have to. I think it's really about what works best for you. So going through this course and learning step by step, all of these little nuggets allowed me to kind of springboard. The taco method is the end of your week or start of your week, depending on how you plan. I always plan Sunday night for the week ahead. You look at the week and you say, okay, what am I going to terminate? Like it's unimportant. It's not urgent. What's off the list? So that's T, terminate. A, automate. What can I automate? And I think that's the thing that people, they don't know how to automate. So you take that step back and honestly have someone teach you in a way. So what can I automate this week? What can I consolidate? Whether it's time blocking and putting meetings closer together so you have less transition time, consolidating tasks, whatever that consolidation looks like to you. And then the last thing is, what can I outsource? So taco, terminate, automate, consolidate, and outsource. But outsourcing is the best. And if you do all the first ones, that typically helps with the outsourcing. You can't outsource if you don't have those systems in place. If it doesn't pass that drunk grandma test.
I love it because I remember always learning the keep, kill, combine method in the corporate world. But what they did, you're kind of developing that even more. Is don't just say keep it. What are you going to do with it, right? Saying keep it doesn't do any good for your schedule, for your time or anything if you can't figure out a way to bifurcate the keep into, okay, things you still really do have to do versus things you can automate or things that outsource. So love it. Love it.
So here's one of the things that I took away. Simple, easy example. Like I don't like to grocery shop. I don't really like to cook. So I automated my process for my grocery store list. And I went through this because I wasn't ready to outsource or automate some of my business things. What can you automate in your everyday life? What can you outsource? And now like Instacart's all over the place. But up here in Aspen, like we don't have Instacart. We don't have DoorDash. So it was figuring out, can I hire like a high school kid if I give them a really good list and then I literally print out this is so psycho. A photo of my fridge that has a drawing on top of where I like things to go away. And in that case, for $30, she went down to the grocery store. She bought everything for me, put it away. And I just saved myself 2 hours, like 100% worth it. I really learned a lot about like automating my personal life because I wasn't ready to let go of as many on the business things. So I found that to be very helpful.
Oh, I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that. There's like so many action-packed moments in this show already.
Yes, good stuff.
Okay, so let's talk about any future planning for you. What's the future plan of Party Trick? Do you have any?
Well, we are in growth and scale mode right now. We are actually about to go and start fundraising. We already have over 1,000 subscribers, which is super exciting, but really it's about eyeballs. And then once we get more eyeballs, we can start building out some fun features, really enhancing that customized experience. We're building the mobile app. Probably 95% of my focus right now is on Party Trick, growing and scaling with the goal of, we can be with people from when they're 17 years old or 21 years old during a 21st birthday party, graduation from college, to when they're grandmas. Like we have this opportunity. So making sure we've built out the segments properly to show the relevant content so we can be everyone's party trick. Like we're not a trick for a party. We are your party trick.
Right.
And it's just the fun, the easy. It's not like, hey, this is prescriptive. It's suggestive. It can be there and be anything for anyone. Like throw one of our playlists on when you come back late night with your friends for a dance party. Don't even use the whole party. So what? Just use bits and pieces. We're your little trick.
So what's the goal? Can I ask you, like, as far as you said, there was 75 in there right now, correct?
We're releasing. one a day, every business day.
Wow.
And some of those are collabs with like larger lifestyles, some brands, some personalities, bridal showers, baby showers. We've got like 4 college graduation ones coming out soon. So it's really like a lot of content that we're creating, which is so, so fun.
So I've got a question. Was Party Trick something that came from some of the challenges that we experienced during the pandemic?
Very much so. One of my majors in college was psychology, and I love connection, the art of connection, the art of gathering. And in the pandemic, we're so separated and felt disconnected. And everyone's like, oh, let's build these online communities. And people are on their phones all the time. And while online community is great, nothing beats in-person connection and community. So we are a tech company that is pushing people away from tech. I was at a party this past weekend. Someone was like, hey, Virginia, did you get photos? Like, what did it look like? How did it go? And I was like, we were so enwrapped with like each other and the group that we didn't take photos. I left that party feeling so alive and connected. You know, these deep friendships that have been in my life for a while are able to like be maintained from a distance through online communities. But the depth comes from that in person. And the pandemic took that away in my mind. People
Yep.
don't want to sit across from someone on Zoom and drink. They want to be in the same room drinking the wine. I want us connected one party at a time.
I love
Nice.
that. So what is one of the key lessons you've learned as an entrepreneur? Maybe something you find yourself saying again and again, or to your team, they would know it's probably on your wall or something.
I tell myself, everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. Everything's going to be okay. I figure if I say it enough, and it always is. So it's really that mindset with my team. It's about reminding them, look at this amazing opportunity. What are we building? Like, this is the coolest thing ever. And trying to get their emotional buy-in, which I mean is why they're working for me and for Party Trick and the companies. Like, they're so into it. And going back to the why is so important. The why is like the most important.
What is your why?
I love connection. I love memories. Like, my favorite memories are those that are elevated and shared with other people. That's what drives me. I want to create it for others. I want to create it for myself.
That's what Matt's going to say about the party we throw for him. I like
Yeah.
memories that are elevated, Nicole. 55,000 feet in the air. I like
Yes, exactly. It can come down preferably by a beach or, you know,
Totally.
something like that. How would you define entrepreneurial success?
Success is changing people's lives and changing it for the better. And so when I have impacted, I'm going to go ahead and just share my goal. When I've impacted 40 million people's lives for the better.
Awesome.
What's next for you? Do you have a new idea percolating? Something that you're working on?
Well, actually, we're starting a podcast. I'm so
Oh.
excited.
Awesome.
Yeah. So the Party Trick podcast is coming, and I'm so excited because I get to talk to other really like-minded like brands and why they're in this space. I'm going to do a fun little series with kids talking about what goes into their ideal party, because kids love talking to kids about that. And, you know, favorite experiences, favorite memories, get industry experts, what goes into it, how some celeb chef crafts his perfect experience. So still in the Party Trick realm, but it's just another channel and outlet for us to impact and empower people to have these great experiences.
I
Awesome.
love it. Tell us and our listeners, where do they hang out with you online? We're going to link a whole lot of things in the show notes, but tell us your favorite place for them to find you.
Well, definitely check us out on partytrick.com. And in the show notes, we'll have a code so you can try us out for a month for free. Find us on Instagram, find us on TikTok. On Insta, we're at Party Trick. On TikTok, we're at partytrick_. But it'll be in the notes. Come check us out and send in your requests. We love when people ask for fun parties and creating something that like our customers really want. Even if it's as simple as like, I need to throw a fundraising dinner. That's fun for me. Yeah.
Nice.
I love it. Thank you
Awesome.
so much.
This was
Virginia.
fun.
Yeah, this was so much fun.
You guys are the best. Thank you.
Hey, it's Nicole, and that's the end of the interview. But stick around. This is the part where Matt and I break it all down and give you our favorite takeaways. Listen in.
Okay, so the first thing from Virginia that I'm taking away is that people want to be with people. They want to be in each other's spaces. And she's not only proving it with these high-end parties that she delivers for clients, but she's proving it in everyday parties. One a day she's putting out, Matt. I think that for me, not just about hosting a party, although we did build our kitchen to be a gathering kitchen. This is true. I think for me, it just reminds me on how much gets solved when we're in each other's spaces, how much solved in a business sense, but even like through families, right? Like just that one hug or that one whisper that, you know, great grandma said to me the other day, like just how meaningful those things are. It can't happen unless it's in person.
Was she a drunk grandma?
No,
No.
she wasn't.
She was
No,
not a
she
drunk
wasn't.
grandma.
She was
Okay.
not. She was not.
All right. I did pick up on the fact it could be drunk or grandma too, by the way. At
could be
first, though,
either.
nonetheless, second thing for me, though, definitely was talk about a pandemic pivot. She did it. something had to change with her current business model, the big events and parties she was planning and doing and throwing. And then along comes Party Trick. And what's great about it is it's come along at the perfect time. People are coming out and they're wanting to experience more and want to start going to more events and more parties and whatnot. The fact that you have this cool now that can allow you to just tap into it, everything you need, and it's obtainable stuff. I think it's the word she used. It's real stuff. It's not like these events that are, ultra luxury or whatever kind of stuff. It's stuff that anybody can do. And I like that she even said how it can be bifurcated into, well, just take part of the party. If you're going to have an after party at your house, after you went out with all your friends, take the playlist and a couple ideas from that. It's cool and just shows that what she put together was exactly what we talk about when we've said things like pandemic pivots in the past, right?
Your Honor, did she say bifurcated? I'm just asking for a friend.
I don't know. She might have said
Just playing with
bifurcated.
you. I'm just playing.
Exactly.
Okay, the third one. I mean, I love it. I think it's coming. But the third one for me is how we leverage our time is a deal breaker or a deal maker.
Right.
She shared with us in just a few different ways, Asana and her workflows and how she's created an education platform because of those. She's teaching other people on what she's used. She's even still taking her 10-minute reminders into Party Trick. She's still using them herself. She's got a wedding this weekend. I bet you if I would have asked her to screenshot her phone, she probably might already have them set up. But that time leverage piece, she talked about shifting gears. And truly, it is the hard part, but it isn't for her now because she's set up so much of the work. Her and her team, I'm sure, has gone over and over and over different ways that they can leverage their time better.
Nicole, she talked about having not just 10-minute reminders for things at these big events, but having the reminder in Asana for her garbage to get taken. Like, talk about time blocking and scheduling out your entire day, your entire week, month. That's crazy. And I think that comes from what she learned from some of her coaching and process she went through, is that taco method, right? I mean, that was, I loved it. I love it. Terminate, automate, consolidate, and outsource. It was really great. 4 points of what you can do with the week.
So you called it crazy, but I'll have to say, watching her and hearing her stories and seeing them through the lens of she's a single mom, gosh, that makes a whole lot of sense. I mean, there are plenty of times that I'm writing down a note for Kyle and like, take this to the post office. Don't forget it is garbage day. That does happen here. So Kyle has a me that'll jot something down and then he'll ask me, hey, did the doctor send the script to the pharmacy? So then he can rely on me because I have the text reminders from the doctor. But like, she has to do all that plus her businesses with her 2 kiddos. It's just really, really smart. And I learned so much just from this one episode.
Yes, I did too. I will tell you that's also coming from the person who is resistant to change and does not want to do Asana. There you go.
She hated it too. She hated it too.
She said she hated it too.
Well, everyone, I hope you got a lot out of this one. We only know when you tell us. And so let us know in a review if you're on Apple Podcasts, or head on over to Instagram or Facebook, wherever you like to hang out. We're probably there. LinkedIn too. And share with us. The team would love to hear it. That is life for sure. And as we always say, if you're listening,
keep listening.